Hello and welcome back to another planner video. So this is planning for March 2021. The planner itself is from Fringe Studio and I will have it linked in the description in case you want to check it out because it is undated so you can start it at any time. I decided, based on feedback, that this would be easier to do monthly instead of weekly to give you an overview of what I am planning in terms of witchcraft coming up for the month. And I think then starting next month, I will do a flip through of what actually happened and what my planner ended up looking like for the month of March, in addition to showing you what's coming up in April. But this one is just going to be what's coming up in March. So as you can see, I've got the weekly plans and the dates on the left side, this list for top priorities on the right, and then the notes section and the don't forget section on the right. Over here, for now, I just have listed what content is going up where. So if you'd like a look at what's coming on Patreon, on the podcast, and on the blog, that's where I have that. I do consider this kind of work as part of my witchcraft because a lot of witchcraft is studying, learning, just continuing, working on the practice every day. So that's part of my daily practice, is just working on all of these things and sharing that knowledge with you on these different platforms. So that's why I've got it in my sort of witchcraft planner. So that is what we have planned. Over here on the top priorities is currently empty because I decided this month I'm just going to use that as my running to-do list. So it is supposed to be the top 3 like for this day, but I think I'm just going to do a running to-do list and check it off as I do them no matter what day it is. And then over here I have the notes section starting with weekly witchcraft. So I definitely do tarot time each week because I pull a tarot card for the week. This week happens to be strength, but you'll see on the rest of the weeks that they are blank because I am not going to pull it until right before the week starts, because obviously my actions that I take this week can affect what tarot card is going to be coming up for next week or the week at the end of the month, so I don't want to pull it too early because that could definitely change. I do a cacao ceremony each week. I talked about that in the last planner video. I think there was pretty positive feedback about kind of talking through what that is or showing it maybe, so I will definitely figure out how best to do that either on Patreon or on YouTube, we will see. For this week, I'm also going to track my daily practice because we have an episode coming up about that. That's something that we got a lot of questions about when we asked what you wanted to hear about on the podcast, was how do you incorporate more witchcraft into your daily practice? Do you have like a daily routine, weekly, whatever it is? So we are touching on that, and I just wanted to track my own daily practice to get a better idea of what to include in that podcast. I mean, I think I know, and there are some things that I do every day or every week, but I think for this week to just really keep that at the forefront of my mind, because sometimes I just go on autopilot and I'm not sure everything that I do. So this week I'm going to remember to track that so I can share it. And every week I like to do a more complicated ritual. That's just kind of how my spell work is. And if you want to see more on that, I did start my own Instagram account. We have the Witch Wednesdays podcast Instagram that we share on, but we mostly share things related to the podcast or general witchcraft. So we decided to share our personal Instagram accounts in case you want to follow us, and I started one that is specific to my own witchcraft. So you can find that at Brindle Blackthorn, and it's linked on Witch Wednesdays podcast, and I will link both in the description in case you want to follow it. And for my specific witchcraft, I really like to do more complicated rituals. There's definitely a place for daily practice, but it's hard to do a complicated ritual with like lots of steps and lots of ingredients every single day. There's just not time for it. There's not energy for it. It's just not feasible in my life, but I do like that sort of spellcraft. So I try to do that once a week and plan that ahead of time. So whenever I get a pocket of time, I'm not exactly sure which day I'm going to do it, but I at least know that I want to do one specific ritual. And for this week, it's actually going to be healing the pain in my foot, which has been there since at least Halloween. I like distinctly remember it. It's like a weird spot in the ball of my foot. Definitely nothing's broken, but I don't know what could possibly be injured. And I also know that although we like always recommend you go to a doctor in addition to doing witchcraft, just based on the type of injury that it is and where it is, there's literally nothing a doctor can do about it. So I haven't gone and I don't plan on it. So I'm just going to, you know, rest and elevation and ice and all the things that they say that you're supposed to do. But in addition to that, I am also going to do a healing ritual to try to alleviate some of that pain in my foot. That's what I'm going to be working on for this particular week. And then I left the rest of the section open to take some more notes of anything that I am reading or want to study. I usually read at least one new witchcraft book a week, and I've been starting to collect reviews on those to share over on Patreon. So I'm leaving space for studying, and that is especially important when it comes to the podcast and creating blog content, because if I am not completely familiar with it, I do need to study it and see what other witches are doing and learn more about it. And then there's just some stuff that I am interested in for my own practice that I've never done before, totally new to me. And so I want to leave space for studying that as well. So on to the second week, you see that the format is similar of all the content that we're going to have. I also note when the new moon is. There is a post always on the first of the month on Patreon that gives even more information about what is coming for the month in terms of astrological events, but also gives color correspondences, crystals, flowers, anything that's associated with the month, and all pagan and non-pagan holidays that are coming up. So if you need that much more information so you can do your planning, that is where you would find that. I don't track all of those different things in my own planner because I just don't find it necessary, or I'm not planning on doing anything with those particular days. So the new moon is the only thing I noted, in daylight savings time, but God, I hate that. So for the weekly witchcraft, every week says tarot and cacao ceremony, because I always do that. And obviously this is blank. So I noted the new moon because I'm going to do new moon cleansing. I always do that. Just cleansing whatever needs to be. That's usually around the house, maybe not an entire house cleanse, but my tools, crystals, things that were used recently in ritual, certain places in the house, things like that. Myself, definitely. So new moon cleansing always. And then my main ritual of the week is actually going to be graveyard time. I think most of you know that my dad passed away in November, and this is the last day that we can remove grave decor before the spring, because I guess March 15th is when they start doing like the landscaping and stuff. So if you have anything left on top of the graves on March 15th, they just throw it out. And my mom put up like a big gaudy glittery wreath thing, and it's still good. It lasted through all the snowstorms and everything, and looks perfect still. So I have to go remove that because my mom is still in Florida and she's not coming back until April. So I am going to the graveyard to remove that, and generally just spend some time there because I do like graveyard workings and I use graveyard dirt, and I generally just feel like peaceful at the graveyard. So that is kind of like my main focus for the week and my main ritual. And it's also going to be energetically draining for me because it is going to be the first time that I am visiting my dad's grave without my mom being there. I don't know that I'm going to be totally on my own because my husband might come, and also my best friend lives very close to there, so she might be coming with me, and her father also passed away in the last couple of years, so she kind of gets it. So I might have her come with me just so I'm not alone. But I think that whole like day and like leading up to it is going to be kind of emotionally draining for me. So that's all I really have planned on the witchcraft front for that week. In the next week, we have Ostara. If you have not ordered your Ostara box yet, we do have them still available as of the time that this episode is going live. And when they sell out, they sell out. We only made, you know, a certain number of them, and they're getting close, but still available. And the ritual that's in there, we have a spell in every box, and the spell is related to balance. And you can see all of the contents of the box on Etsy. That's linked below if you are interested in ordering. So I definitely have that, and specifically on that day, because I do have time that day. We always say that, you know, it's like the spirit of the season, and a lot of people will celebrate these Sabbats, you know, for 2 weeks before up until 2 weeks after, just because that whole season feels like spring. It doesn't have to technically be on that specific day if you don't have the time for it. But I do actually have the time for it on that day. So I am going to do the balance spell out of the box that we have. And my main ritual and spell casting for this week is going to be related to kitchen witchery. And for patrons, we are going to have the spell, a recipe, and a cocktail. So I am going to be doing those things in the kitchen. Into the next week is when we have the full moon, and I am going to make moon water, of course. I use it pretty regularly. I mean, I don't make a ton of it or anything, but I like to at least know when the full moon is so I can make moon water whenever I need it, and I am going to need it this month. And I haven't opened as far as what my main ritual is going to be or what I'm going to work on, because I just don't know, you know, 3 weeks out from the date, what I'm going to specifically need in my life at that point. So blank for now, as is this week. I just don't know what is going to be coming up that I'm going to want to do. But I do have on there to prep the Beltane boxes, because those are the next ones that will start getting shipped out, because Beltane is May 1st. And we start listing and then shipping about a month ahead of time, just to give it like a lot of time. So this would be the time when I start prepping those and start listing those for sale. So be on the lookout for those too. That is all I have for you for Planning with a Witch this week. Let me know how you liked it, and if you would like to see next month when I do a flip through and go back and show you what this ends up looking like once it's all filled out and actually used. If that's interesting to you, let me know in the comments. And otherwise, I will see you next time.